can remember the first time that I met a millionaire, I was so nervous. I didn't know what to say, I didn't know what to ask. I knew this person had some amazing lessons to share, but I didn't even know the first words to come out of my mouth. And I know many of you feel that same way. You've seen people achieve massive success, but to ask them questions, to pick their brain, it's hard to relate. It's hard to ask the right questions or know what to ask. And that's why I wanted to create this new series on my channel where I interview some amazing businessmen and businesswomen that have achieved amazing success. Many of these aren't my closest friends, but I'm not interviewing them to share the numbers now, like how much they're making now. No, I want to go back to the beginning. I want to find out what were some of those initial struggles, those obstacles, what were some of those big breakthroughs that got them to where they're at today. So we're going to start this series right now, and you're going to meet a really good friend of mine who, let's just say, you're going to enjoy this story. So let's find out who my first guest is right now. So I first met Shane and Jocelyn Sams. They actually surprised us by making an impromptu visit to our house when we used to live in Illinois. I initially discovered them on Pat Flynn's podcast, the Smart Passive Income podcast, and was just drawn to their story, plus the fact that they lived in Kentucky, which was not that far away from us. They just had an amazing story where they were both school teachers, and within a very short time, like less than a year or two of starting their online business, they're able to quit their jobs, both of them, and go and focus on their business, their online business full time. I mean, like, what an amazing, crazy story. And we've been able to become really good friends. And if you checked out my houseboat video with a mastermind group that I did, Shane was one of those guys on that houseboat trip. You know, we've just built an amazing connection, an amazing friendship through the years. And I'm excited to have him be a part of this new series, episode number 1 of this Make 1K series that we're doing. So let's go ahead and start these questions and see what Shane has to share with us. All right, Shane, thanks so much for joining me here as part of this new video series. You are number one in my heart and number 1 in my book. All right, so first, tell us about your business right now. What does it look like? Where does the revenue come from? How is it made up?
Hey Jeff, thanks for having me on this interview today. My name is Shane Sams. My wife Jocelyn and I are former school teachers who started an online business a few years ago selling digital products online, lesson plans to teachers, playbooks to football coaches, and we were able to make enough money online to quit our full-time jobs and work from home doing that. And recently we sold off our education company and I went full-time helping other people start, build, and grow their own online business. Family-focused entrepreneurs who want to spend more time with their family and kind of get out of that rat race that we all call the 9-to-5. And we do that over at flippedlifestyle.com and on the Flipped Lifestyle podcast.
What inspired you to start an online business? Where did the motivation come from? Like, what gave you the idea to get it going?
I'll tell you what inspired me to start an online business. You know, when I was a school teacher, I was a history teacher and a high school football coach. My wife Jocelyn was an elementary school librarian, and we had a pretty good life. You know, that good enough, quote unquote, American dream life. We had a steady paycheck, decent jobs for the area we live in. You know, we're from Southeast Kentucky. There's not a lot of great jobs around here. So as a teacher, especially a teacher with tenure, that's a pretty good, stable job. And we were kind of just going on that steady march toward retirement. You know, you get your job, you stay 30 years, and hopefully you'll have enough money at the end to kind of ride off into the sunset or play golf or whatever you do. And everything was just going along pretty normal. You know, we were like most families, we were living paycheck to paycheck, but the paycheck kind of ran out on Thursday, but we got paid on Friday, you know, so you're always in that endless cycle of running out of money, getting your next paycheck, running out of money, getting your next paycheck. But everybody else is doing it too, so you really didn't notice anything was wrong with that. And like most people who worked full time, you know, both of us were working in the house. We had our children in daycare. Well, we found out that my son, Isaac, was being mistreated very badly in his daycare center. One morning, when I dropped him off, he went crazy. He had this big fit. I took him outside and I started putting all of these pieces together. And we realized that there was a lot of psychological and mental abuse going on in this facility. One of the things that they were doing to Isaac, we would find out later, is they were locking him in a bathroom with no windows and the lights out for hours and hours and hours at a time. And they were doing that to punish him for having potty training accidents. He was only 3 at the time. He was right in the middle of potty training, and they really just didn't want to deal with it. So they were trying to like scare him into not using the bathroom, or so they wouldn't have to deal with it. And we found out all kinds of other horrible things that were going on, and our kids were in a really bad situation. But at this moment, this morning, I had to deal with this. I found this out. I couldn't take Isaac back inside this daycare facility, but I was a good employee and I was a school teacher. I had to go to work because I had, 20, 30 kids waiting in a classroom, and they'd burn down the building if the teacher didn't just show up. I couldn't get a hold of anybody at the school, and here I was in this parking lot holding my crying, screaming son stuck. So I took him over to my daughter's daycare facility, which was a completely different building down the street. She was in a baby facility. They only had children up to like 2 years old in this facility. So, they don't even take kids like this, but I knew someone there, and I said, could you just watch him for a few minutes until I get back? I need to run to work, tell them what's happened, and then I'll come back and deal with this. So I go to work, ask a teacher to watch my class, go back down to the principal's office to tell my principal, hey, I just found out, just put all the pieces together that my son is being abused. I got to go deal with this right now. This can't wait. And as I'm in the principal's office, it was an assistant principal there. The main principal wasn't there that day. I told her my story. I told her what was going on. She looked at me really calmly and listened. And then she took her glasses off and looked up at me with these cold eyes and said, if your son is not in immediate danger, you can deal with your personal problems after school. I don't have time to deal with this. I don't have time to help you. And I know your son needs you, but I need you too. So you're going to have to handle this after school. And I remembered being so furious in that moment. I couldn't believe that this was happening. I couldn't believe that someone said this to me. And I said, hey, I've got to go to my son. I'm leaving. What's going to happen if I just go? And she said, well, you could be reprimanded or you could be fired. You can't just leave work. And it clicked with me at that moment. I knew that we had given our life away, given our freedom away. We had given control over our life to someone else, our employer, for a little bit of health insurance, a little bit of job security. And this person thought because they paid my paycheck and bought me that insurance, that they could tell me what was more important than my child. So I left. I got up and left, and I got in my car and I said, I'm going. My son needs me. I don't care. Do whatever you got to do. And as I was driving to that daycare facility, I said to myself, I don't ever want to be in this situation again. No matter what I have to do, I'm going to find a way to make a living, to get that health insurance, to get that stability in my life without having to rely on anyone else to give it to me, so that when my son needs me, I can be there. When my daughter needs me, I can be there. And when my wife needs me, I can be there, and that we can provide a better life for our family where we actually get to be there for each other. And over the next few months, I started looking at different ways to make money. One day while I was mowing my grass, I listened to this podcast and I heard this guy talk about selling digital products and how people came to his website, bought his stuff, and he emailed them PDFs, and that's what they paid for. And they were paying like $49 for him to email them a PDF. And at that moment, it all clicked. I knew that we could do that too. We could create digital products. We could create lesson plans. We could create football playbooks. We could create anything that we could teach someone else. We could create that digital product, and we could do that and sell it to make our living. And my wife Jocelyn got on board, and we built multiple online businesses on this digital product model that made a lot of money. And in September of the next year, I walked in and put down my letter of resignation and said bye to the 9-to-5 forever.
What do you remember being the biggest obstacle, the biggest hurdle that you had to overcome to get this business going and for it to be successful?
The biggest obstacles for us starting out was definitely time and money. When we started looking at online business and looking at building something online, we were working full time, raising kids. Our children were very small at the time. I think Isaac was, he was like 3 going on 4. Anna Joe was like 18 months going on 2. And so, they weren't exactly self-sufficient. right? And they couldn't take care of themselves. We had 2 small kids. We were both working full time. We had to get up really, really early, sometimes as early as 5:30 in the morning to get the kids where they needed to be and get to our jobs. Jocelyn was the full-time librarian at an elementary school with 600 kids. So, she would stay until 5:30 every day, taking care of all of her duties before she even, got to commute back home a half an hour. I was a history teacher all day and a football coach all afternoon. So I'd get to work, and at 4 o'clock, we'd go out on the field, and we'd be there until about 6:30 or 7. Then it'd be 8 o'clock before the kids got there. All their parents got there to pick them up for practice. So we were very limited on time when we first started out, and we had to figure that out. Like, how are we going to have enough time to start an online business? So Jocelyn and I literally went to a Mexican restaurant one night on a little date night, dropped the kids off over at the grandparents, and we asked that question to each other. We said, how are we going to make this work? And we realized that we were going to have to give up anything that wasn't go to job, take care of kids, take care of each other, to make time for online business. And we actually figured out that there were 168 hours in a week. And we drew 168 little squares on a big long piece of paper. It was one of those big pads that they use for accounting. We flipped it over on the back, drew our grid, and we said, hey, okay, well, what's this hour? What are we doing this hour? Well, we're sleeping for these 8 hours. And then we're at work for these, 9, 10 hours. And then we're taking care of kids these 2 hours. But wait, here's a 30-minute window. I've been watching Sunday night TV shows or Netflix or playing around on YouTube. Scratch that out. That's online business time now. And then, well, what about this? Well, Shane, you get home here. I've been with the kids for 2 hours here. You take care of the kids here. I'll work another hour on online business here. And then when the kids go to bed, you stay up until 11, 12 or whatever you got to do to work on the online business. We'll go to bed. We'll do it again. And we really focused on sacrificing the present to build a better future for our family. So that's one thing we did. We kind of gave up all of our free time, stopped going out to eat, stopped hanging out with our friends, stopped watching TV, stopped doing anything for about a year to build our online business and make it happen. And sometimes you can kind of manufacture more time in your schedule, but manufacturing more money is kind of hard, especially when you're teachers in Southeast Kentucky living paycheck to paycheck. So we decided to sell everything that wasn't bolted down, and we thought about renting out the kids, to be honest. You had to make money to pay for things like hosting and all the different resources and tools that you have to run an online business. It's a lot cheaper to run an online business, but there are still some costs. So we had yard sales. We canceled cable TV and just stopped watching TV. Our entertainment we'd take the kids to the library and we'd rent them movies like, Sesame Street or Mickey Mouse. I say rent, but actually check them out from the public library. They were old, some of them were 10, 20 years old, but the kids didn't know any better. They were, 3 and almost 2, so whatever. They watched them and did all sorts of stuff to make more money. It got to the point where we really needed to invest a little bit more into our business, so we actually sold our house and moved into a smaller house for a couple of years. We had this really nice house in a nice neighborhood. It was like 2,400 square feet, had a nice little, above ground pool in the back, and lots of good neighbors, lots of good friends. But we knew we needed to make an investment in our future. So we sold that house. We moved into one that was about 1,800 square feet, a little bit worse part of town. And it was an older house. It was built back in the 30s and remodeled back in the 70s. But, it was comfortable. It was warm and nice. And, we stayed warm, dry, and fed in that place. And that's where we built our business. We call that our Freedom House because we did sell our other house to make some money online. Or make some money for our online business. So, time and money is the biggest problem. And, those problems are solvable. If anybody else is out there and you just can't figure out where you're going to find the time, where you're going to find the money, you are going to have to give up something to get something better later. Now we don't live in the Freedom House anymore. We live in our Forever House. We have a house with about 30 acres and a 10-acre private lake behind the house here. And this house is actually 4,800 square feet. It's exactly double the house that we sold to have enough money and resources to start building and grow our online business. So, time and money was definitely our biggest problems, but we did what it took to solve them, and I'm really glad we did.
How did you make your first $1,000 online? And was that the breakthrough moment for you, or was there another amount? Was there another metric that you used where you're just like, yes, this is awesome?
All right, before I tell you how I made my first $1,000 online, let me tell you how we made our first money online, because we almost gave up before we made our first money online, and we never even would have got to this point where we are today. So I had been trying online business after I jumped off that lawnmower for a few months, and I'd done everything in my power to try to make money online. And when I first started this pursuit, Jocelyn was not on board. She thought this was a ripoff. She thought it was a scam. She thought it sounded too good to be true. You couldn't just sell things on the internet and send them to people via email. You just couldn't do it. It was not real, not possible. But the loving, good, amazing wife that she is, she didn't stop me. She just said, prove it. If you can prove it to me, I'll get on board. If not, I'm not going to do it. So I remember spending that entire summer trying desperately to make any money online. I listened to every podcast, took every course I could get my hand on, watched every YouTube video, and tried everything. Tried affiliate marketing, tried email marketing, tried ads, tried putting Google ads and Amazon affiliate links all over my website, and just everything I could find. Went to the places like ClickBank and all that, and got products, tried to sell them. Nothing worked. Okay. I built a couple websites. They were kind of spammy. One was like a dad blog. It was terrible, but it was kind of funny, and it didn't really do anything. And then I realized I was a history teacher. Maybe I could make some worksheets and give them away and put ads on those pages, and maybe someone would click something. So, those were some of the ideas that I tried at first, and nothing was happening. I mean, absolutely nothing. No traffic, no money, nothing except for Jocelyn looking over at me, basically saying, I told you so. Okay. And as I'm going through the summer, we're getting close to the end of the year. The football season's starting up. It's starting to get ramped up, and I'm really getting discouraged. And anyone who's tried online business for a while and nothing happens knows what I'm talking about here. You get down, you start asking yourself, is it real? You start doubting yourself. Maybe it is real, but I'm not good enough to do it. And I remember laying in bed one night. I was laying on my back, all depressed, my chin down like this. I have my computer sitting on my chest. You know how you do that when you're sad at night and you're laying on your bed with your computer on your chest. Jocelyn was over here reading a book. It's getting close to midnight. It was really, really late. And I was looking at my analytics to see if I'd made any money that day. Of course, I'd made no money that day. It still said zero, a big goose egg in the Google Analytics to see if I'd made any money. So I was discouraged. I closed my computer, set it aside, and got up and went into the bathroom to brush my teeth. And I remember looking in the mirror and being just really down and really discouraged. And I kind of said a little prayer. I said, God, is this real? I mean, could you tell me if this is real? Could you at least show me? If it's fake, that's fine. If it's not real, that's fine. But at least give me a sign to move on, God. But if it is real, if there's something going on here that can really change my family's future, please tell me I'm going in the right direction. I don't care what it is. Just help me out here. And I was ready to give up. At that moment, I was ready to just say, you know what? Tomorrow morning, I'm done. I'm going to delete all this stuff, cancel anything I've bought, and I'm just going to move on and figure out something else. And as I was getting in bed, I looked down at my computer, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to check one more time today. I'm just going to look and see what happens. And I opened my computer, and I hit refresh. And when I hit refresh, before it came back, there was a zero there. Before I hit refresh, there was a zero in my analytics, $0 made. But after the screen reloaded, it said 11 cents, like a dime and a penny. Not $11, not $1,100, but 11 cents is what it said in my ad account. Someone had found my website, went to it, and clicked the ad, and I made money off of something I created. And I went berserk. I started celebrating like our team had just won the state championship, or I was celebrating the final touchdown at the last second. And Jocelyn kind of looks over at me over a book and is like, what? And I flipped it around. I said, there it is. There's the proof. We can create something and send it out on the internet, and people will appreciate it and send us money back. And at that moment, I think back on it, I realize how ridiculous that must have sounded to Jocelyn. This was a dime and a penny. You could find this in your pocket. You could find this in your couch cushion. But she looked at the screen, and then she looked up at me, and then she looked back at the screen, and we started having this conversation. She realized at that moment it was real too. So Jocelyn gets on board, and we start asking ourselves, how can we turn this 11 cents into $11 or $1,100 or a living? How can we make our living online? And that's when we started creating digital products. So Jocelyn starts creating elementary school librarian lesson plans for librarians who use in their classroom to teach their classes. And I start making football playbooks. Jocelyn gets all of her stuff done first. And she starts a little email list. She gets a couple hundred emails on it. She starts blogging. And about 2 to 3 months later, she launches her first lesson pack. It's a monthly lesson pack. And we launched it and we made like $2,700 on the first product that we ever released. This little tiny list of a few hundred people. And then we did it again the next month. And then we did it again the next month. And we kept making money over and over again, month after month. 2,600, 3,000, 4,000. And it just keeps growing and growing and growing. And the next July, something crazy happened. You know, we were getting ready to go in this back to school period. I had finished my football product. Jocelyn had her new set of lesson plans that she had just created. We worked all summer so hard to get these things done. We released all of our products at the same time. And just a year after that first sale, where we made $2,700, we make $15,000 in a single month. The next month in August, we make $36,000. That was how much one of our salaries was for an entire year. We had done it in 1 month, and we realized this online business thing was real. It was legit, and we had done it, and we just had to go full time, because if we were doing this part time, what could we do if this was the only thing we did? And on September 27th of 2013, we walked in and gave the principal our letter of resignation, and that's how we made our first money online.
If you could go back in time and talk to your younger self that was just starting your business, what advice would you have for him?
You know, if I could go back and talk to myself, if I could catch myself running inside to tell Jocelyn about online business right when I jumped off that lawnmower, and I said, whoa, stop, let me give you a little piece of advice, then I would tell myself, hey, look, it's not about passive income. It's about creating your own income. It's about being self-sufficient. It's about being able to work from home and being able to have the time and financial freedom to be there for your family and build the life that you want. It's not about easy buttons. It's not about magic tools. It's not about which email provider you use. It's not about all those things. It's about doing it your way and being consistent and prolific, and over time, giving yourself the best chance to succeed. You know, like everybody else, when we started out, we wanted to create passive income. We wanted it to be magic. We wanted to set it and forget it, and we'd make money forever, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And while you can do that, I mean, our business is on the internet. Anyone who logs in at any time, even when I'm doing something else, hanging out with my kids, on a trip, whatever, they can buy stuff and we make a sale. We can make sales 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But there's a lot of stuff behind that to build that up. And it's not about, you know, having your toes in the sand on a beach in Thailand, living on $8 a day like some of these people in all these videos, or standing in front of your fancy cars. It's about making the money that you need to live the life you want. Not the millions and millions of dollars, not, you know, the yachts and the boats and all that crazy stuff. It's, man, I get to wake up every day and have the financial freedom to pick my schedule, to choose what I work on, to choose who I help, and choose who I interact with. You know, if I want to go eat lunch with my kid, I do it. If I want to take my kid to school, I do it. If I want to go to my kid's recital or gymnastics meet or basketball game, I can do it. And you don't have to have millions and millions of dollars to be able to do those things. So that's what I would tell myself back then. Ignore all these people you see in the commercials and on the Facebook ads and the YouTube ads and all of that. Ignore all this talk about this magic passive income and all these, you know, dreams that people put in front of you, and focus on what you can bring to the world. Focus on the people that you can help. Focus on being consistent and getting up every day and doing the work over time and building the life that you want, that's based on freedom of your time and money. If you do that, you're going to be not only more successful, you're going to succeed faster, because you're not going to chase all these shiny objects down the rabbit hole. So, you know, I think if I could go back and give myself a little piece of advice, it would be consistent, be prolific, and build the life you want. Don't try to copy the life somebody else is presenting on social media.
That's awesome. Thanks so much for sharing that. So is there any last words, any parting words you want to share to my community before we go?
All right. Before I go, let me share this amazing story of why working in an online business is the most amazing thing in the world. You know, like I talked about earlier, you know, it's not all passive income, set it and forget it and all this stuff, but it does give you freedom, and you get to make money while you're enjoying all of this freedom. So we have all these stories. When we first started out, we put notifications on our phone whenever we would get paid, whenever somebody would buy anything, and we changed the little tone to a little cash register, so we go cha-ching, cha-ching, or whatever. And I can remember, you know, all these weird moments where we'd be at the bank and we'd make money. We'd be at the store and we'd make money. We'd be with the kids, you know, taking them to school and we'd make money. All these little things happen. And it got really exciting to make money while you were doing something else, or you wake up in the morning and you look at your phone and you made money while you were sleeping. That's just an amazing thing, because that's not what the world teaches us. The world teaches us, you know, trade time for dollars. Go to work, get paid, go home, do something else. Don't make any money while you're at home, make money while you're at work. But that's not how the economy works anymore. You can totally set these systems up and make money 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So one time, Jocelyn and I were ready to get away for a couple days, let the kids stay at the grandparents and enjoy that for a while. We wanted to, you know, kind of go out with some friends and have some fun. So we went down to Nashville, Tennessee for the SEC basketball tournament. You know, we're from Kentucky. I'm from Eastern Kentucky. Jocelyn's from Western Kentucky. We met at the University of Kentucky. So we are big blue fans through and through. And we wanted to go and watch the Wildcats win the SEC tournament. It's an amazing thing when Kentucky comes to town during the SEC tournament, and we were really good that year because we just took the city over. You see 20,000 people walking around downtown Nashville, and the stadium's full of blue, and it was just an amazing, fun thing. So we were playing Arkansas. I can't remember if it was the finals or the semifinals in the SEC tournament. I think it might have been the semifinals. And Arkansas was like our big test, the big roadblock to stop us from winning the whole thing. And I remember in the first half, we were just beating them to death. I mean, the crowd was crazy. It was loud. It was wild. Everybody was having a good time. Arkansas was frustrated and mad, and we knew that we were going to win this game. And so everybody left at halftime and getting their hot dogs, getting their popcorn, going to the bathroom. And me and Jocelyn were sitting there. My buddy went and he took his wife to get something to eat. And we kind of spread out. And I sat here, and Jocelyn kind of moved the seat over, and we kind of spread out and just relaxed for a few minutes. And so Jocelyn was over here, and I was sitting in my seat, and it was halftime. Top of the world, my team's winning, everything is good, right? And at that moment, I got a notification, and I looked down, and someone had bought a $400 and something digital product for us, something we had created once a year earlier, and we were selling it over and over again over time, and somebody bought that right then at halftime of that SEC tournament game where we were just beating Arkansas to death. And I looked over at Jocelyn, and I showed her that notification. And I was like, is this real? Like, this kid, does this really just happen? And so that's my absolute favorite story of making money from my online business while I was doing something else to enjoy all the benefits of actually having an online business. Hey Jeff, thanks again for having me on this interview today. And if anybody would like to learn more about me and Jocelyn, you can find out everything about us over at flippedlifestyle.com. We also have a top 50 business podcast on iTunes. That is the Flipped Lifestyle Podcast. Make sure you head over to iTunes, subscribe to that. We help a real person every week in a live consulting call with their online business. We'd love for you to listen in and get any tips or tactics that you can use to help you change your family's future too.
Shane, thank you so much for sharing your story. Y'all, you don't even realize, like, Shane and Jocelyn are one of the most inspirational stories that I've ever been around. Two school teachers that quit their jobs during the middle of the school year to focus on their online business that they just launched that was crushing it. The fact that they're actually dear friends of mine, that just makes this even more surreal. Y'all, hope you enjoyed this. I've got more videos like this coming. Awesome interviews with people that took a chance trying to figure out how to hack their wealth, how to grow an online business some way, somehow. If you want more of this, be sure to subscribe because I've got more of these coming. It's going to be awesome. You're gonna meet some amazing people that have accomplished some amazing things. And what not a better way to kick this off with Shane and Jocelyn from Flip Your Life. Y'all be sure to check them out at Flip Your Life and subscribe because we've got more awesome Make 1K interviews coming. Until next time, peace.